The two most mellow redheaded
is
ever.
shaking, y'all? Golden Mike 156. 156. Kerrian, do you know why I've done 156 of these?
Because you love it so much.
No, I
And
hate
because
it, actually. You can't cancel me. That's why I do it. It's because you can't cancel me. When you have momentum, you might as well ride it. And I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun because I get to meet with folks like you. Kerrian, been in corporate, especially when it comes to compensation for, what was it, over 20 years?
yeah,
Over
corporate
20
Wall
years.
Street tech.
Just launched a new program called Vybrant Ventures, where we're kind of working with corporates. We're also working with more clients, but we're not stuck in the bull crap of corporate. How
Nope.
amazing is that? How much freedom is
Awesome.
that? I
It is
love it.
awesome. It is awesome. It's so awesome. I can't even tell you.
And my take is that when you worked in compensation, you would see certain things, especially when like looking at differences in like gender or race in terms of what's like in being underpaid, underappreciated, unhappy.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah.
something that can be expanded out for life. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Not getting underpaid, not getting
Yeah.
underappreciated, and not being unhappy with the career that you're in. Kerrian Fournier is here, and if you haven't met me, because Kerrian sent this to a whole bunch of people. If you have not met me, yeah, thanks for hitting those hearts already, because they're hitting the hearts on Kerrian. If you haven't met me, my name is Mark Cordone. I'm the founder of the Make Money Coaching Program and the Joy Revolution. But more importantly, on a regular basis, I get to ask folks, my friends like Kerrian, two questions. It's the easiest job in the world to be a positive psychologist. Question number one is, how happy are you today? And question
Very
number
happy.
two is, how much are you living in your meaning and purpose?
Yeah. So, I mean, really happy. And that doesn't mean, I'm running around with like rainbows and unicorns and whatever, but I just feel very connected to my authentic self. So that just feels great.
Yeah, amazing. And let's go there. Let's just go there. Authentic self, what does that mean to you?
I think it means showing up in all my crazy facets of myself, right? Not
Mhm.
some cookie cutter version of what I expected of myself, what others expected of myself. And I just allow myself the differences, even the complexities. And so I'm a corporate person, but I'm also really creative.
Yeah.
I'm highly aggressive and competitive, but as my daughter jokes, I'm like the best dressed hippie on the planet. Like there's just a lot of sides to me. And I'm finally getting comfortable in this three-dimensional Rubik's Cube that is my humanity. And it
Sure.
feels great.
Sure. That's amazing. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the future. But those of you who are feeling great and living in your full purpose, Carrie Ann, put that heart up over there in New York. Make it beat. I want to see those numbers go up. Let yourselves know that if you're living in happiness and flow and meaning and purpose, like our sister Dorothy Burlikowska is, just hit that heart. Now, here's the other thing, right? The other thing about positive psychology, Carrie Ann named it, right? It's not about shits and giggles 24/7. It's not about Skittles and rainbows and Carrie Ann riding the bucking bronco across the sky, dropping
It'll be
gold
fun.
coins on people. Dropping gold coins on people. No, that only happens once every like blue moon. So watch to the skies, people, because you might see Carrie Ann going across the sky. But just
Oh,
because,
definitely.
the idea that being happy 24/7 is absolutely irrational. It's and in fact,
Yep.
one positive psychologist said if you're happy 24/7, um, you're one of two things. One, you're dead, or two, you're a psychopath, right? And
Yep.
so, like, life really is about those ups and those downs and those all arounds. And if you get to know Carrie Ann, there's ups and downs and all arounds that Carrie Ann has been able to really use to increase her joy capacity. I'll use the word in,
Yep.
in here. So, for those of you who are sitting here right now and you're like, man, I used to be so happy and I'm not anymore, and I don't know why. That's cool. That's part of your hero's journey. Or if you're in corporate and you're like, I loved this job, but suddenly what's more important to me is getting compensated, is being acknowledged, is being happy. That's cool too. You might feel a little bit off. Hopefully, our conversation will entertain you, but there might be a couple points here that wash over you and might stick with you. So give us a thumbs up if you're just living life right now. Give us that thumbs up. Yeah, I can see them all going up right now.
Awesome.
Finally, I want to throw this out. And Carrie Ann and I have talked about this in Joy Revolution, and it's this: if you're hopeful, that's as powerful as EQ and IQ because you have clarity on where it is that you want to go next, and then it's all about taking the action steps. It's not like hopeful, wishful, bring me a dream, right? It's not that stuff, right? It's about really setting a clear vision for yourself and moving forward. So for those
Yep.
of you, Berlikowska, Fiona McNair, who are excited about the future, who are hopeful about creating today as the best day of your life, I want to see that wow face. And Carrie Ann's going to demonstrate what that wow face looks like. Show us that.
Jazz
It's like
hands.
show tunes. Okay, amazing, absolutely amazing. We got some people tuning in. Dorothy Berlikowska. That was not a wow face, by the way. You hit the wrong button, son. Um, Dorothy Berlikowska tossing in this idea that let me put her let me reposition her in the right place. Authenticity is absolutely key. So you obviously said something to her that had to do with authenticity. We got the badass of Canada up in here, Fiona McNair. Hey, you too, she says, and then finally she says, "You can't be happy all the time. You need to feel all the feels and then find the joy again." Ooh, I'm liking that. She's dropping some deep stuff 5 minutes into this. And then finally, Dorothy Berlikowska came back with a really, it's about living the moment. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
skimp on those loves. I know that you're hitting them, people, so just keep hitting them. Carrie
Keep
Ann is
feeling
on
them.
today. It took us months to get this woman on.
I
So
know.
with given that sort of pomp and circumstance intro, Carrie Ann, we can see you as a one-dimensional person, this coach who understands compensation and working with women. But on a greater level, what's your story, Carrie Ann?
So, I'm a person that I feel like has finally shed the labels. And I mean labels from, my childhood, labels from being a twin, labels from being an artist that fell backwards into Wall Street. I'm someone who I had a trinity of trauma in my 20s. My twin brother passed. My mom had some mental health challenges and sort of a very violent hashtag Me Too moment. And what that did for me, and it's not, oh, woe is me. They created this person who was freaking fierce. I mean, I really shut down my vulnerability. I shut down my heart center and my intuition, and I went all intellect. And let me tell you, it made me incredibly successful. I was a classical theater major, like swinging it with Harvard and MIT MBAs on a derivatives desk on Wall Street and doing corporate strategy and just hustling 80 to 100 hours a week. And my ego felt great. And everything on the external made it seem like, wow, she's made it. And then I got to my mid 40s and I had my second trinity of trauma. I got so ill that I could barely get up a flight of stairs. And so I went out on disability, having to like basically step out of this huge job. While I was on disability, I got let go. The new CEO came in, he cleared the deck. So my whole ego and existence just got wiped clean. And after 20 years of marriage, I found, finally figured some stuff out and filed for divorce. So I had this second trinity of trauma. And I just knew that all of the skills that had propelled me through 20 to 25 years of wild external success were just, it wasn't going to do it for me anymore. And I had to come up with a different set of tool sets and ones that really looked inward versus outward. And the funny part is, and I will admit this, it's not my proudest moment. I was the one that made fun of the people in the self-help aisle. It's like, oh, figure it out. Like, what the hell, you freaking wimps, you know? And I was perhaps just slightly judgy.
I thought I
The
saw
way,
you making fun of me that one day.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, suck it
Tear,
up, Buttercup. You know, what
tears
the
in my
hell, you know?
tears in my chicken soup for the soul for Asians
Yes,
book.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I wasn't ready to get it. I wasn't ready to listen to more. And a lot of people are like that. And something happens in their life, and then they're forced to finally confront their consciousness that there's something else and they need a different set of tools. And so I really set out to find out what I didn't know I didn't know.
Well,
And
I
I
want to.
did start reading, and I did start just accumulating this other tool set, which has served me well, I think.
Well, I want to go back to this Trinity of Trauma piece because it does seem like it was the impetus or the activation energy that got you to some
Yeah.
sort of realization that there's a different kind of Kerrian that's a higher self Kerrian that you want to
Yeah.
explore, right? And I think the first thing, and I'm going to ask a multi-layered question, which is
Sure. Go ahead.
against IPEC coaching, so apologies, IPEC. But you rejected our video, so you can't really blah, 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 blah. But
You don't ask you. You know, it's okay to get a
yeah,
no. It's all right.
yeah. But anyways, the first thing is this idea of like, when it comes to trauma, like, does it usually come in threes for you? And then the other thing
Yeah.
is, if you hadn't gone through that trauma, would there have been any other way that you would have been able to get to, I don't want to call it the level of success, but sort of the level of realness that you are
Right.
now?
Yeah. I think, perhaps, right? We can't rewrite our history. And, perhaps there would have been another set that set us, on a path to realization. And maybe it would have been kinder and gentler, but this was certainly an accelerator. I seem to not even do self growth mellow, right? So maybe that's just my karma, right? And other people can take the winding river of self consciousness and growth. That was not what was written in. I do know that I don't think I would have been on that Wall Street, highly quant, shut down my creative side. I probably would have kept on that journey and maybe not admitted that I loved the creative side, but not the lifestyle. I might have stretched that out because I think once again, the other risk was at the same time not realizing that there was this other side to me that was business focused, that was quantitative, but I was trying to live into the passion and purpose that I saw that my twin brother who passed when I went into business. And it really ended up being finding some of my own passion and purpose that I had denied.
Yeah,
I just overdeveloped that muscle again and I shut down. So it's just denying
gotcha.
any side of yourself
Yeah.
is just unhealthy, or it's not as complete, it's not as fulfilling.
How much did you miss the
Um,
creative side?
Now I realize tremendously. And it came out in different ways. I'd say even in corporate, I always took a fairly non-linear, unconventional, surprise, surprise, view of developing corporate strategy, communications, design work. But it could have been even better. But to be honest, a corporate environment didn't necessarily always support and embrace non-traditional ways of being when it came to design and development, which is why I really love having my own company
Yeah.
because I do get to choose my clients, whether they're individuals or teams or corporations that are ready to do things in a sort of more open framework way and realize that's how you become disruptive. That's how you really blow the lid
Oh,
off of it.
yeah. And what I love about when you have that kind of choice, and for you, it's like, I want to work with the ones who are ready. Like, readiness is such a big deal because,
Yes.
excuse me, I just belched into the mic. Um, Readiness is such a big deal because um, you can have all the talent, you can have all the technology, but if folks aren't just ready for it, there's absolute inefficiencies going on.
Right.
Like,
They've got to see that there's something else there. And it's
yeah,
okay if they're scared, right? Because, it's like anything, you've gotten to a certain level of success, and God forbid I try something else and I fail and I go backwards, but realizing, coming up with an environment that allows you for a playfulness,
Yeah.
and realizing that failure isn't finite and it isn't forever. And it's really part of the development process.
Oh, that's
And
so.
it
Yeah.
has to be, right? It's
Yeah.
almost like improv comedy. I don't know how much you know about improv comedy, but when you throw something at someone, not only do you have to accept it, but you have to add to it.
Add to it. Yeah.
And what's been really, really fun is reconnecting to my creative acting and music roots, and fusing some of those tools and techniques into some of my more corporate side.
Oh, I would
And
love to
I just
see a
love it. It's so
CEO
much
like
fun.
doing an improv scene with you.
Oh, I've done that. I've actually done that recently. It was really, really funny, but they got into it, and which is nice. It's certainly stiff, and you have to have a CEO that's willing to lead the way, so
Yeah.
that it gives permission to the others to be a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
But once you get them into that energetic place of play, and there's no bad and it's okay,
Yeah.
it's just, talk about magical,
Sure.
things that come out together. It's just so much fun, and they
Sure.
have fun.
That's
And what I
amazing.
really love with them is, then, okay, we've got this. Now, how do we do it? How do we execute it? So, and make it really practical, and versus just staying in the ether.
I
So
love
that's,
it.
I think, part of my sweet spot, with corporate team clients and even individual executives. But as you stated in the earlier part, my other real, real passion is women professionals.
Yeah.
And because part of my career, I was a very senior compensation executive in, Fortune 200 companies, and I've literally been on the other side of billions of dollars worth of compensation decisions. I mean, billions. And I know you mentioned gender, race. It's all sorts of things, to see the patterns on why people will put themselves out for the promotion, for the compensation request, for all of these things. And there's just, just like corporations, 9 times out of 10, it's not about the comp. It's about all of this other stuff that gets in their way. And
Mm.
when I went through my training program for IPEC, and I realized so profoundly the tools that we were using on the coaching side was exactly the way I was seeing, particularly, not always women. There are certainly men that get there, but a lot of women that get stuck, the inability to really champion themselves and put themselves forward. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is a perfect marriage.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I don't want to project it all the way to any marginalized community, but I mean, you specifically worked with compensation and could see it on the
Yeah.
front end, like
Oh,
how that was
absolutely.
affecting like probably
Absolutely.
mindset, esteem, ability to locus of control, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I before we go a little bit further, I just wanted to um, throw out America, and not the United States of America, America Fleshman. Um, I'm not in a great place career wise, but I do love watching your show. You always lift my spirits, and maybe we can dedicate this one to America and see if
Yeah.
there's a couple things that we can pull out that might, we don't know your exact situation in America, but maybe we can pull out some of these tips that might improve happiness at work for America.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Fiona, I don't know what you're talking about. No oh, I get it. No is a new door opening. I get you. Thank
Yes.
you, thank you, Fiona. And Tanya Milenovic from the Underground is tuning in. Hello, hello back. We've got a really cool person also tuning in. You may know her in the Joy Revolution. She's your sister. Marion Hillman Campbell is saying hi. Great insights. Absolutely love this. So, without any further ado, I want to get into. Oh, of
Sure.
course. And then there's another person in the Joy Revolution that is saying hi right now. You may have heard of her as Melanie Klein. Yes, yes, yes. Two of
Sister.
my favorite people, love and
She's amazing.
exclamation points. Um, oh, yeah, absolutely. She deserves some hearts from us. So, let's go into this idea of sort of those kind of three simple secrets successful women all know, um, and where you came across these. And by the way, where did you
Sure.
come across these secrets?
So, it's really the culmination of I am an analytic person. So the data that I saw happening in these large corporations, financial services, consulting organizations, technology, where I had been either executives or I'd been on the compensation side. And I just saw these things play out time and time again. And I really saw what typically men did more often than women. And just as the data point, what's really fascinating is it's been statistically proven that men will either go for a promotion or another job if they have 60% of the qualifications on the job description. They'll just go and they're like, I'll figure it out. I got it. Women, however, they know that they can get in there and that's part of it, right? But women will not even apply if they're not 90 to 95% typically. And what's crazy about that is also having been on the other side is people just put all sorts of crap on that list. Some of it they mean, some of it they don't. And no, seriously, there's some like junior generalists that just, oh my God, get me a document. And they just put everything but the kitchen sink. And people are preventing themselves from actually going for this job when they don't really know what are the top 2 or 3 salient points that the executive's really looking for. That's one.
Right.
The second thing is real career growth and potential is unlocked not by what you know, but that you can grow. And I challenge anyone out there to look back at their life and said, well, I don't know how to grow. Every single one of you has experienced growth in your life. So you have the capacity, just like a joy capacity, you have the capacity to grow. And that's the whole point of a new job. Why would you just go from a place that you were to exactly the same thing with a little more money? So it's this concept that I work with my clients on quite a bit, which is learning agility and their confidence in their learning agility, whether it be people or results or process or really anything that they can get out there and they can just figure it out. And perfectionism is just not the goal. You need to be an actionist, not a perfectionist. So if people can really get that the value that they bring to a job, either their current job, a new job, or promotion, is this learning agility and this ability to grow, not what they know, it really starts to take the lid off the limits that they've been putting on themselves.
Yeah, I love
So that's
that.
one secret.
I love that idea of learning agility. Sort of, it kind of harks back to old school learning that like sometimes like education is like a lab, right? And so you have to
Yeah.
figure out the problem, right? And learning agility is the difference between people who just stand there and bellyache and point at a problem versus ones who can actually go and creatively solve one, right?
Right. And use the resources that you've got around you. Like perfect example, the first time I got on an equity derivative structuring desk. Meanwhile, I was a classical theater major. It
Equity.
was next to all these derivatives. Yeah, blah, 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 right? Very fancy. It's just a lot of words that sound intimidating with a lot of very loud screaming men for the most part. But
And
but the
one tiny
reality is,
screaming redhead too.
oh yeah, no, they
I
got
could see
nothing
you
on me.
being in
Huh?
that.
None. They, amateurs. They were amateurs.
Amateurs.
But I want to I want to plant the seed for everyone is use the resources around you. People like to help, even if it doesn't seem like it. You'd think nothing would be more intimidating than a group of screaming traders. But when I got on that desk and I didn't have an MBA and they did see something in me that I could do, I joked and I created a Wednesday school night at a local bar. And I created a list of all the things I needed to know. And I bought the textbooks and I read it. And if I couldn't figure something out, so-and-so who is the best at binomial valuation, I'm like, we're going to the bar. And I'm going to understand this chapter. You're going to fall off drunk, whichever comes first. And I'll tell you, the beer I bought was a lot cheaper than an MBA. And I did that for 8 months. And people would come and they'd sign up. Oh, when you get to blah, 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 blah. I needed to know, I needed to figure something out, and I had resources around me. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And I did it with humor and I did it with fun and, whatever else. But we all have, and so that's a very extreme example, but we all have a network around us. And if they don't know, they may know someone who knows, right? So that you can quickly accelerate, like I said, that area of you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Tap into your network to start giving you that internal compass so you can really focus your time and attention on what you have to do in order to make the most progress in the quickest amount of time.
Yeah, and what I love about that is I mean, for those of you who are watching live or on the replay right now, who are those people around you? And if you have the
Yeah.
clarity in terms of where you want to go or what you want to learn, who are the people that will be able to provide you with that sort of next level training? The,
Yeah.
the room is totally blowing up. I don't hear if you no I don't know if you hear these little pops, but
I
that's
can't
them
see it,
commenting
unfortunately.
on you right now. I
She's crazy. They saying she's crazy.
she's crazy. So, okay,
It's all part of my charm.
just to
Crazy's
see
part of my
who's in the
charm.
room right now. I want you guys to start hitting that love button. Let's see if we can get it up to 50. I want to see if we can get 50 hearts for Kerrian, just to see if anyone's paying attention. So, okay, so we've got two things that we're talking about right now.
Right.
It's going up. It's going up. It's going up.
Doot, doot, doot,
Um,
doot, doot.
so
So
the
that was
first thing
one
is this
secret.
idea
Yeah.
of the first thing idea is of growth, and it's not
Yeah.
even feeling growth yet, but just knowing that growth is inevitable when you allow it.
Right.
Right?
Right. It's possible. Your power is your ability to grow.
Yeah.
You don't have to have already grown. Your capacity is there for the taking, and stepping into that and knowing, if anybody's watched that Simon Sinek video, nervous versus excited,
Hmm.
yeah, of course you're going to be a little bit nervous, but if you can reframe it as excitement and, ooh, I'm going to be learning all this stuff. I mean, you toggle back and forth. It's natural, but it really is fun. It really can be very, very fun.
Absolutely, absolutely freaking amazing. Now, the second thing that we talked about is this idea of networking, and I love that. And by the way, networking might be a sub point to it.
Yeah.
The big one is really use your resources to grow, to learn,
Yeah.
and be creative with it and still have fun with it. I mean,
Yeah.
we're tuning in right now, and when she needed to learn multivariate binomials or whatever it was that you had to learn, she set up shop in a bar. She
Yep.
set up shop in a bar. Either they're gonna learn it or they're gonna drop. They're gonna be carried
Exactly.
out there. Saul Salcido, Salcido just said that beer was cheaper than the NBA. Love it. That looks like it's going to turn into
Yep.
a quote card today. So number three. What is this third of the trifecta? Right.
Well, I'd say the second. So it's that you can grow, not you know. And the second one I really talk to a lot of my clients about is this concept of exploration, not expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Really staying present and being able to take in what's in front of you versus projecting a very limited view of what success looks like. And I use this often because I'm a planner and I tend to try and think about everything as a chess move. And I realize, yes, that's a strength of mine, but it was very much limiting when I'm trying to come from a place of pure creativity and possibility. Once again, I'm not innovating in what I don't know. So I'm cutting myself off. So when you really are true to this exploration and how this plays out in your career, is I find if you don't do this, people are very, and understandably, nobody likes to get a no. So if you ask for a promotion, you ask for money, and you get a no, it's very normal to put a story around it and say, ugh, I'm no good. They don't value me. They don't care. I knew I wasn't, blah, blah, blah. But what it is, if you can really honor that normal reaction, but sort of give it a timeout and realize this is just a data point. This is them saying no, and you've given them an opportunity. If they say no, let's say, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously they could absolutely say yes. But if the problem of putting yourself forward is worrying about a no, then the question is, what if? What happens if you get a no? Well, then you ask for feedback. Well, why? And maybe one positive outcome is they say, you know what, we think you're great. But you really need to develop these skills. You say, okay, great. Let's get me on a learning platform or learning schedule,
Yep.
and you can develop it. You get constructive feedback. So that's one positive. Another no is you realize your manager is a moron and doesn't see your value, and they're not going to get it. You can probably tell energetically, and they've got their head up. And you know what? That's a data point. What people say and do is about them. How you choose to react is about you. And so that's a data point. And you can finally say, face, like, okay, well, I'm not going to get either the promotion or money here. I'm either okay with that and I need to take peace because other things are priority. But you can say, let me look at, if you're in a big company, let me look somewhere else. Let me start using my network to see where else my skills can be acknowledged and used. You can start taking those calls from recruiters or headhunters. You can start networking through that friend group. There's always more choice available to us than we allow and believe in. And so get the answers that then support a data-based decision forward versus an understandable but oftentimes non-productive emotional one.
Yeah, and it comes
So
from
that's my second
exploration.
one.
It comes from
Yeah, from
exploration.
exploration, right? Because
There's
it's
no way
really,
it
you're
came.
taking the good or bad. It's not a good or bad. I'm going to explore what happens. Whatever comes back, that's data for me. That's feedback, and I can go from there.
It's also very
So
zen too, because there's a certain non-judgment that comes in
very
with with
much.
with connecting to a feedback form and
Yep.
not attaching to that or not being affected by it. It's just data.
Yeah.
It's just data,
Yeah.
right?
It's a data
Amazing,
about the person
amazing.
delivering it. It's data about the message that's actually being sent. It's data about the organization and its culture. There's a lot. If you're willing to really kind of take yourself out of it and you're willing to really listen, there is a wealth of information that comes back when you put yourself forward in that regard.
Amazing. T, are you listening? Are you listening to what's going on? Saul, Melanie, are you all listening? Fiona, Liz, they're all in here. The whole Joy Revolution's in here. Marion,
Awesome.
they're all here. So, like, not being attached to sort of the data exploration, what is the big three?
So the third is what I call cultivating consciousness-based confidence. Because I'll be honest, I've seen a lot of very well-intentioned advice for women professionals out there that I want to scream. Make sure you make eye contact, speak up in meetings, shake hands strongly, wear heels, don't wear heels. It's all this sort of accessories to confidence. And okay, yeah, maybe there's a truth to you fake it till you make it. But for people really struggling with imposter syndrome, it can actually make it worse. And it's really not sustainable. So I think the strongest path forward is this consciousness based confidence, which is taking the time to understand what you truly want and your true value and really starting to address in a true way your confidence blockers. And I'll give an example of how this stuff is really coming out these days. There's been this new legislation in the last year that is really meant to help women on this pay equity compounding problem, which I was underpaid in one job, I go to another company, and it just continues because they stack 5 or 10% on my last pay. So there's this new legislation that came out in many states and jurisdictions that does not allow executive recruiters or executives to ask someone how much they made in the prior place. So you have
Yep.
to, supposedly get value. It's meant to be great. I cannot tell you how many women have reached out to me freaking the bleep out because the question is the executive recruiter will ask, what are your pay expectations?
And they go low.
And then all of a sudden, they crumble. They're like, oh my God, I have to sign a number to my worth, even if there's data available, even if. And so they just freak out. So there's been a number of clients that I've jumped in as they've started the negotiation to help them with that. But my absolute favorite trajectory is when I get in earlier and we can work on these confident blockers that are like the inner voices that say, I'm not good enough. I'm not worth that. I'll never be enough. I'm not perfect. Or they sort of do this assumption projection on, I've never been able to make money, so therefore, or they create stories about the environment or their career. And they're just very specific things that come out when you speak with them that shows their confidence blockers to be able to speak powerfully into their value. And like I said, certainly can help clients when they're in the negotiation process. I've even unwound a few negotiations where somebody actually jumped for a bigger job and agreed to go flat. They agreed to not even getting an increase. I wanted to lose my mind. We unwound it. They got a great package, worked out. But if I can work with people in advance of that, and even in their own company, so they really feel comfortable that what they're being paid is really equitable and fair.
This is absolutely amazing, and I mean, I love the idea of cultivating conscious or cultivating confidence or consciousness based. Fuck,
Confidence. You got it. And Peter Piper
competence.
picked a peck of pickled peppers too.
I love it, and you know what I also love? I love the fact that this room is full right now. Call to action. Carrie Ann's talking about a lot of stuff that, like, a lot of people right now who are taking lunch breaks or people who are in the workforce are not, they don't have the time to see this right now. So let's all do this in a collective manner. Forward this out. Simply forward this out. I love the message that she has because it's an empowering one, and it's one that can go, it's one that can catch wildfire in terms of avoiding
Yeah.
being underpaid, avoiding being underappreciated, and then going to this that idea of happiness. Now,
Yeah.
when it comes to confidence blockers, what were your confidence blockers that you had to overcome when you were in the force?
It's kind of funny. I'll be honest, my confidence blockers were much more in my personal life than in
Mm.
my
Hmm.
professional life. But interestingly enough, with my own consulting company and coaching company that I opened a year ago, my personal and my professional have melded. And I found myself having to not get caught up in some of my personal gremlin messages that are now infused with my professional. I think one thing that helped me, and once again, I often go back to these labels that we give ourselves because I ended up on something like Wall Street where I never intended to be there. I hadn't latched my success to, oh my God, everybody expects me to be successful here. I was able to take a lot of risk because if it didn't work, all right, I'll go do something else. No problem. Right. And so my ability to detach my value from my success in that particular um, vertical, I think really did me. And by the way, this is just by accident. I didn't plan this. This was not some big revelation. It just kind of happened. And it's only now looking back that I realize how the hell did I had such a brass set to do some of the stuff that I did. I mean, I don't even know. Like, and I just was like, I had nothing to lose. If this didn't work, I don't know, I'll go do something else. And so I think that's part of it. And so I try and take that with me into other things now. And then that maybe it's the flip now in my own business, in my own company, which is so me
Yeah.
and so much of my value and everything that I want it to be that I need to kind of maintain that if this doesn't work, then I'll do that. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's, I think, I don't know if I answered your question.
You totally answered my question, and I wanted to make sure that you're not frozen. Okay, there we go. There
Oh,
we
there we
go.
go. Yeah. Somebody
Uh,
was calling in.
so
Sorry.
I want to see if, what kind of let's see what questions have come up because people are like, we're flying through here. Marion talking about so true. I was a woman exec in technology in corporate America. Women were so conservative when considering the next step in their career.
Yep.
So hopefully that idea, Marion, if you ever choose to be a coach in in this industry with women in corporate, that the triangle of truth, I guess I'll call it that.
Ooh, I like that.
I mean,
Very
if you've got
nice. Trinity of
the
trauma, then
trinity
I've
of
got my
trauma, then you
triangle
got
of
the
truth.
triangle
I
of
like,
truth, right? We got Liz Landrum who's just saying, "Hey." Melanie, of course, important points on gender and work. Let's go down. Liz again. Wow! I don't know why I'm doing that, Liz, but that's resourcefulness at its finest. Probably talking about you taking people out for beers, right? Melanie, you're such a fierce trailblazer and role model, Carrie Ann. So, like,
oh, thank you.
when you light up Melanie, that's a good thing. Fiona, well, guys, I'm off to the airport now. I'm going to be in my
Oh,
joyful place through
safe
Holland. Have a great
travels.
time in Holland.
Ooh, nice.
Tell people about Carrie Ann over in Holland and T
I
McKnight.
cover the world. I have clients all over the world,
Yeah,
so that works.
T McKnight loves it. Um, uh, let's see what else we got. Liz is just jumping back in. All of this amazing. Lily Sullis, love it. Dorothy's coming back in. Such valuable information. Thank you. Soul coming back. Yup. Listening to Carrie Ann was I'm listening to Carrie Ann. She was my peer coach. Her quote, exploration, not expectation, best piece of advice given, makes your day to day decisions and reaction much easier. Love it,
Yep.
Soul. Nice haircut, Mark. You're welcome. And then Marianne, no fear, embrace the challenges. You go, Carrie Ann. So Carrie Ann, I want to ask you this. I mean, 20 years of that was your, or plus years of that was your life. What is your
Yeah.
life now?
Mine, it's what I really enjoy now is that I feel like I am driving towards and creating this abundance, but without the grind. Right. And it's not that aren't some days that are a little bit more difficult and, I've got to work through it. And it's hard to sometimes not slip back to, wait a second, I'm not grinding. I'm not working 80 to 100 hours a week. Am I doing enough for my business? And should I be doing more and trying to drive more? And I'm really trying to stay true to this equilibrium of what energizes me and is more, and what is more and really saps me, because it's really important to me that I have energy. I have this really awesome hashtag future is female daughter, 14. Love the fact that we still can talk and love each other at her 14-year-old age.
Amazing.
And I need to have reserve for her, and not even a reserve. That's like, a primary area that I need to have my energy for. So it's creating balance. And I have to admit, I just love what I do. Every time I get nervous, because I had a steady paycheck for years. And, I'm developing a model that you get, it's more steady, but it's different. And then I get on with my clients and I'm like, bam, yep, doing the right thing, in the right place. It's just like, it's not even and I got a call a couple of months ago for this, like your words, mamma jamma job, like enormous job, enormous price tag on it. And I just said no. And they couldn't comprehend, they literally couldn't comprehend it. And they kept throwing me more money at me. And I said no. I'm like, what? Like more money? I'm like, oh, now you're making it hard. But not really, because I knew they'd want me
You're
to
making
be
it hard.
No, but yes, but no, not really. Because at some point it's just like, so what? So I'm not going to see my kid with that much more money in the bank? Like, not even a conversation. And I also knew it wasn't going to be, I wouldn't be able to be my authentic self. They'd want part of me and they'd want the magic that came from my authentic self, but they didn't really want my authentic self there. That's not really was the environment. And so I choose no, and that's okay. Because it's funny, one other thing I say to my clients who have a hard time saying no, I say, well, what are you saying yes to then? You're not saying no, you're saying yes to something else. And so I didn't say no to them. I said yes to a vibrant life. I said yes to my daughter and her amazing development now that she's going to high school. I said yes to staying true to my authentic self. And so the decision to tell them thanks but no thanks was actually a lot easier than I would have thought. Now all of a sudden I'm thinking of the numbers. I'm like, oh my God. But no, I mean, really, that's sort of a joke. Really, no, I'm good. Totally good.
Well, this is amazing. You want to know what's amazing?
What?
52
natural
straight.
redheads.
Natural redheads are amazing.
I think natural redheads are amazing.
52 minutes straight, no coming up for air. We just went right in and went into flow. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So, y'all, we've got only a couple minutes left. So we're not that far off from those 100 hearts. Let's see if we can make it. Let's see if we can break records and make 100 hearts. We will stay here. Phone lines are open.
I'll buy you beer, right? I'll buy you alcohol if you get me my heart.
Buy you alcohol if you get it up to 100 hearts. Well, right now I know that we got. It's starting to explode with hearts right now. Oh my God! It's at 88. 93, 99 rounds on Carrie Ann tonight. 120 hearts. Let's see if she's gonna buy the second round.
Awesome. I
150
tell you, it's a
hearts.
TEDx beer as a developmental strategy. It's my TEDx. It's one of my
Who
TEDx's.
here wants beer as a developmental strategy? Hit that heart. Hit the heart. Oh, we stopped that. Oh, no, it's going back up. 188. Okay, 108, 191. If we hit 200, you're buying the second round, Kerrian. So I'll keep
Absolutely,
an
you
eye
got
on
it.
it. But we've absolutely, and we've hit 200. You're buying us 2 rounds. It's like studying for final. Look at you. So well, you've gone through amazing things, and the thing is I want you guys to add Kerrian right now as a Facebook friend, because I can say with confidence you're going to be hearing a lot about her in the next couple months, couple years. There are stages that are ready for her. There are books that are ready to be written by her, and so keep in touch with her. Click on her now, and add her as a friend. Kerrian, you are absolutely outstanding. Your story is outstanding. These trinities upon trinities upon trinities and saying no have been amazing. But if I were to ask you, well, I am going to ask you, what would you say your most proud moment looking at your life right now is?
Other than my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the day I chose to do my own company and to finally have the courage to just say yes to myself and
Mm.
just to believe in myself enough that I took my own advice and said, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. And
Yeah.
so I think that's probably my proudest moment.
And was that pure happiness or was there fear
No,
involved
it
with
was
that?
laced with pure terror, but
Yeah.
it was more happy than terror, and it was okay. It's not, that's the good thing too. When you've gone through this stuff, you recognize it and you realize there's another side to it, and it's okay. It's just
Amazing.
part of the journey.
Amazing. Um, we have to have you back. This was awesome to go
Well, I
into
know it's so
flow
hard
with.
to get me to talk enough. It's really like pulling teeth to get me to say
It
anything. So,
really was. I was looking at that 1 minute mark and I was like, oh my god, we've
oh
got
my
59 more
God.
of these. So no, it was quite fun to have you on. I don't know if you know why
Anytime.
the show's called the Golden Mic, but we're gonna do it right now. You're from IPEC, so
Yeah.
you've done visualizations before. So let's get into a visualization mode and imagine that a golden mic is coming down from your ceiling. Ooh, it's a heavy one today, and it's resting right in front of you. Now, this golden mic, Kerrian, it doesn't even have the potential, it has the power to broadcast and amplify to every single person all across the world. And so when I turn on that golden mic, every single person will hear what it is that you need to tell the world. Kerrian, your golden mic is live now.
So the thing I wish everyone could tap into is that they can be really, and it's sort of the joke that you can be anything you want to be, but what it really means is you can be whoever you want to be. And so lean into all of the things that you thought that could never be me, and just embrace the totality of yourself, the things that you think are the freaky, embarrassing pieces, the things that you think nobody will accept, the things that made you awesome, and realize you are a perfect whole. And we are all in works in progress, and that's what makes us beautiful. That's what makes us have the ability to connect in truth and authenticity with other folks. So stay connected, stay authentic, and have some fun. Go have a beer
Absolutely
or
amazing.
wine.
Or wine. She just told the world to give a big old cheers. The world cheers you
Cheers.
back. Kerrian, absolutely amazing. You need to come back. They're going crazy for you, the world. So here's the deal, y'all. Kerrian will come back. Click on her name before we leave. Share this out because this was a really, really important message. And finally, Kerrian and I have one final question for you. And our question is this: if you're feeling good and you're living life to its fullest purpose, what is your responsibility to change history for the better. This has been Golden
Yep.
Mike 156. My sister Kerrian, Mark Cordone. We are out.
My